RC family. What's up? EKJ 24,000 here. Another episode of the RC Lounge podcast. Man, we got that arrogant one. That arrogant one. Getting himself hooked up, getting himself together. Back in the back. We got Max Mort on the show today. Just talking about RC, just talking about his little journey through RC, how I got started with JQ and how he left JQ, went to Associated, and back to now, Miyako, and how he been liking the car. We're gonna compare the car from the Associated car he drove then between the Black Edition and just compare it up to what we got going on now with today with the MX-8 Miyako. So we're gonna go through all that. And hey man, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. And y'all share this, get it out. Also, again, I do have a Patreon account. And just go to Corey Jordan on Patreon. And just something that, if you can donate something like $10, that's it. $10. That's less than, we spend that on what a cup of coffee at Starbucks almost, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you don't donate on my Patreon. It really would be appreciative. And like I say, all the money gonna go back to me going to races, getting content, and making the podcast better. And also for y'all to have good, great giveaway prizes. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it just go right back into the channel. And just really want to show my RC family appreciation for just holding me down, supporting me over the years, and really appreciate it. And yeah, like I said, we got Max on the show today. And like I said, I'm just letting him get set up. I'm gonna bring him in a minute. And but yeah, glad to see everybody out doing well. And so let's have a great show. So what's been up? What's everybody up to? Everything been good? What I got coming up is hopefully I'll do a little club racing, and then from there go on and do some I think we got throttle therapy down in Mississippi in March, as far as my bigger races. And then I know we got, maybe PNB, just thinking about it. Just gonna go from now as far as my racing. So yeah, EKJ gonna be busy this year, and we just gonna keep it moving, keep it going. So yeah, and I want to let y'all know that that Reds Racing is coming out with a new back plate for their engines. And what it is lately, how a lot of times on your engine, your back plate, sometimes your crankshaft can bump your back plate. And so what this does is when that happens, instead of rubbing against the back plate, scarring the back plate up and messing up the rod, the crankshaft, what this does is it actually that part that hits the back plate, actually on the back plate itself, it actually spins with the crankshaft, so it won't damage the crankshaft and it won't damage your back plate. Because a lot of back plates now, had a DLC coating on them. I know, just for instance, that Ryan Mayfield's motor has that reinforced back plate. I guess it's hard, so it won't scar it up. So, but on this one, it spins with that, so it's just another giving point. and it, keeps your engine healthy and keeps it from, messing up. So yeah, y'all keep an eye out on that from Reds Racing coming out, I think this month. And yeah, that's another thing you can put in your tune, in your box. Keep no engines running good. So yeah, y'all. But other than that, man, I'm trying to get this man up out of there eating up all my snacks and stuff backstage. So I'm getting them. Let me get him let me get him on. So let me hit him up right quick. So yeah, other than that, RC family, glad again. Thanks y'all for tuning in. And like I said, we finna have a good show. Let me get my man up in here. And we gonna get this thing going. So yeah, like I said, I appreciate it enough, y'all stopping in and checking it out. Like I said, and yeah, man, just want to keep bringing y'all some good content. Let y'all talk to people, and y'all get y'all questions together, because this is a thing that I want y'all to be able to play a part in too, and ask Max some questions whenever he get here. That he on Finland time, so it's like 7 hour difference between this time. So we just try. I'm trying to get him on in here. But yeah. But so yeah, I got Miyako, the buggy. Everything been going good with it. Just really been trying to run it more. Like my first race was with it was SIC. Went well. I just dropped a video yesterday called In the Middle of the Action, of one of the greatest RC races in America. It's just some action footage mostly. So y'all go check that out on my YouTube channel, EKJ24000 on YouTube. Go subscribe to that. And check that out. But yeah, the buggy's been good. So I just want to drive it more, get familiar with it. And so yeah. But it went well. I'm just messaging him now. But yeah, it went well. Buggy real consistent, real stable, easy to drive. Just when it's fresh and new, you gotta let your kits break in. So basically what I did was drove it in practice. A few things did come loose because I ain't put enough Loctite. You know how it go. New buggy woes, as they call them. So in practice, I had to go back and Loctite some stuff. Got all that sorted out. And I slowly but surely practice some more. Finally came around. At first it wasn't turning the way I wanted to turn, but finally came around, and it finally broke in, and the grip that I was wanting finally started to come in. And it just I want to share that with y'all, because when you get a new kit, it does take time for the kit, all the parts to break in, and all your drivetrain to produce the grip and mate with each other to produce the grip that you want. So you get that feel that you used to having, like driving, like just say your old buggy versus a brand new one, to get that grip that you like. So it is a process. It really is a process. I really wouldn't recommend you building a new kit and just throwing it out, throwing it out to race. But that was just a situation I was in, did it. And like I said, over the practice, but I did get there early enough to practice to get all that worked out. And about qualifying time, it came around. But more immediately, the immediate thing you can feel on this buggy is how easy it is to drive, how stable it is. I just feel with this one, I can really come out, I can really push it and not be exact, so precise like I was with the precise. I mean, like easy on the wheel, like I was with the with the um with the Black Edition JQ buggy. But like I said, going into qualifying, it started to come around. Everything was going good, everything qualified like seventh in my rounds. So I qualified for the C main, and sportsman buggy, and um qualifying was good. I had no issues at all. Only thing I really changes I made in between the rounds, I switched from I started off with the gray springs. The gray springs are really the soft springs for like a really loose track. And the track was loose. It didn't feel that bad with the gray springs. They're just really soft. So I switched from, because it was loose on the track, and the grip kind of was coming up in the groove. And finally the grip came up in the groove. So I switched from the gray springs to, I put the brown springs in the back, and then I went to black springs in the front just to smooth out the steering. And so from there, um, just drove it, end up finishing what was it? Like 6 in the C main. So it's good. It's good. But yeah, let me get my boy on in here now. He's through eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner back there in the green room. So I guess he's ready to come on now and grace us arrogant um with his arrogant self that he is, Mr. Max Mort. So yeah, I'm bring my homeboy in here so y'all can get to know the Finland arrogant one himself. Wake up, man. You sleep, Max. I don't know what he doing. Can you hear me, Max? Oh, hold on. Max, you mute you muted. I can't hear you. You muted. You muted yourself. I mean, this dude right here, boy. What's up, y'all? Supreme Capone, what's up, man?
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, you was muted. I was gonna text you saying that you was muted, but you good now. We good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had some issues with my
What's going
headset.
on?
It wouldn't connect. It wouldn't connect
Oh yeah.
to me.
Well, we
Yeah,
got it
but now
going
we're all
now,
good.
man. We all good. What's
Yeah,
up, man? What's going on?
I'm doing good. Been
How's
having kind of a day off today. Um, just chilling. Yeah,
yeah? How college?
it's all right. It's all right. A lot of stuff recently. A lot of complicated stuff. So I've been like almost all week. I've been at school more than I've done previously. So, but I've been on top
Really?
of it. So it's all going good. I probably
Yeah,
head to
man.
the track tomorrow, get some laps
Yeah.
in. I couldn't do that today, but yeah, it'll
It's
be
all
all
good,
good.
man. Hey, stick with it. I know, I know it gets tough trying to do school and things you love to do,
Hmm.
but just bro, just day by day, do a little bit at a time on both sides. Do your school stuff first, get out of the way, because we dread to do that sometimes. So go on, knock that out, and then go ahead on and do what you love to do after that.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's gonna pay off, man. Just going through the it's just a process. I had to learn it myself because I went to school and I played football, so had to do
yeah,
school and football, and it gets tough, but you stick with it. It's really just really the survival of the fittest type thing, and you still make your grades. But if you just stick with it, it's gonna fly by before you know it.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and you're gonna be okay.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
So
I think also like the school thing, it's got me more interested, or like let's say more of my time these days goes to like
yeah,
looking at the design of cars and stuff like that.
yeah.
Let's say 2 3 years ago, I did my own parts. I did a lot of testing and stuff like that. But then
Mm-hmm.
I focused on, like I was still in high school, so mostly just like when I got out of school, I just went to practice and test stuff and do things like that. But now it's more like some of my free time I just spend on like designing stuff and focusing on the designs, and then
Yeah.
there's even less time to focus on my own driving. But yeah, I think I'm at a point where I don't like, if I want to improve, get faster, then I need more track time to sort of stay in
Yeah.
my level. I know what I have to do, and then just a few days at the track, and I'm back at it. So that's what
Okay.
I've been trying to do, kind of with 10 scale. Like I have a few days down now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm head to the track tomorrow again, get some laps down, and just try to focus on driving. 10 scale is good for me because I don't like, I can just go there and drive and I have
Just
no
drive.
pressures. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like also like the surfaces we drive here in Finland, it's like no one else drive on like slick
Yeah.
concrete. We are the only ones to do that.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah. But yeah, dropping that 10 scale, do you really think it helps out on your with your 8 scale
Um,
driving?
it's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
I in some senses, yeah, it helps out in sort of, especially when you're stuck with your 8 scale driving. When you sort of maybe haven't found your perfect setup for the 8 scale, you kind of overdriving the car. You maybe you try to run the wrong tires a lot of times, stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. You switch over to 10 scale, have a few track days, you sort of
Yeah.
find new angles. You can see, oh well, I mean, I can do that. I can jump the car this way. How can I do
Yeah.
that with my 8 scale? Things like that, it helps. But
Okay.
apart from that, I don't think I mostly like to focus on 8 scale because it's kind of a different animal. Touring, in my opinion, is the only one where you like actually get that feeling of
Feeling.
driving smooth. That translates to all classes. But 10
Okay.
scale and 8 scale, like the electric to nitro feel is so much different
It
that I
does.
think it's
Yeah.
it's more like getting another perspective rather than learning other ways to
Okay.
drive.
I got you. Yeah, man. But yeah, bro, Max, just let everybody know where you're from, man, and who you are. That's it.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people probably know me from my JQ years. I
Mhm.
signed for the JQ Racing in 2010. I think like the year he had his prototype, I think 2010. That's where I
Mhm.
was already running the first prototype of the car in
Yeah.
Finland.
Mhm.
Basically his practice car. I ran them at races, and since then I've been with JQ Racing until the end of 2019. Um,
Yeah.
so I come from Finland. My home track has always been the same as Joseph's, and that's
Okay.
why we went pretty much like all through my career until
Yeah.
like that 2019. I was like, we practiced together, we tested together, we traveled around Europe together. So that's probably what I'm most known for. But throughout those years, due to the fact that I live in Finland, which is where I'm from, it's
Yeah.
it's like from, let's say, mid September to uh, mid April. That's
Mhm.
like no outdoor racing at all, no chance. Like not in my career, the earliest I'm gone to get to race outdoors is like early April, and the latest
Yeah.
is like early September. So it's like we have a very short outdoor season.
Yeah.
So most of my time I've actually spent in 10 scale. My main focus has been 8 scale. So it's a bit weird. It's like all of the winter season I've focused on 8 scale. And that's
Mm-hmm.
how sort of I've gotten up. I I wanted always to race 8 scale really well, be
Yeah.
fast, compete. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I did have some like quite good results. But then like 2019 was when I had finished high school.
Yeah.
I had started to work at a factory, get some money, try to think of where I wanted to go to college, if I wanted to pursue an engineering career, which I'm doing now, or something else. And then I sort of it wasn't an easy decision at that time in my career, but
Yeah.
I decided that I needed to try something new and try to find a different way
Mm-hmm.
to look at RC,
I
and I
got
decided to switch brands. That's why I went to AE.
you.
And yeah, I think it was, after all, it was a really, really good move of me because
Mm-hmm.
kind of COVID allowed me to focus on practicing a lot
Yeah.
instead of just like, I mean, also racing in Finland. So
Yeah.
I could focus on, you know, quite a narrow section of what I can do. And then also because I wasn't doing any school, I was working for 2 years.
2 years.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I was working for 2 years, getting some money, and on my free time, all I did was design parts, um, read about vehicle dynamics. I made, like, on my YouTube channel, I made that series. I put a lot of time, like let's say half of the time was making the videos, and the
Yeah.
other half was just like making sure I got things right. And I
Yeah.
did get a lot of things wrong too. And I mean, JK was one of the first ones always to comment that,
Yeah.
yo, you got this thing wrong. And then I corrected them. Like
Yeah.
those 2 years, not only because I changed to AE, but the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I sort of tried to make my own path
I got
forced me to learn new stuff and do my own stuff.
you. Yeah.
And yeah, right now I'm back at Mayako, and JQ's the designer. And yeah, sort of, kind of just a side tour, but a really, really good side tour, if you say that.
I
That,
got
I
you.
think those would sort of be my RC career, like the big
Yeah.
points of it.
But yeah, man, we're just gonna rewind it a little bit. But
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
wanted to know, so how did you actually get started into racing? Like, what was, what did you race when you first got started into racing? What was the car? What
Yeah,
scale?
so actually
Mm-hmm.
this is an interesting question. I got my first RC car when I was 3 years old.
Yeah.
That was a B3,
Mm-hmm.
and it was our neighbor was actually a guy who finished third in the European Championships in tool drive.
Right.
That car was the car he won the Nordics with. It was like
Okay.
his old car that he ended up, being like, okay, like I can sell you this one.
I
I
got
was I was 3 years old, and back then it was just like, I mean, I was driving in we'd had like a field,
you. Mm-hmm.
like a gravel field. I drove
Yeah.
on there. We sometimes made a few jumps, but
Yeah.
it was
Bash.
just like, yeah,
Okay.
bashing kind of. My dad
Mm-hmm.
had a few like RTRs, so he knew about it, like knew about RC.
Mm-hmm.
Then after I did motocross, I did ATVs, I did a lot of different like motorsports. Um, but then I think it was 2008. So that was when it was like the end of 2008. So I was about 7 or 8 years old then. There
Yeah.
was a track like 20 minutes from our house, and my dad's good friend said that, hey, there's the track. Let's like, you should go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
And we had that car. We went to drive, and I really liked it. So that was the first time I drove on an actual track. Before that,
Okay.
I hadn't
Yeah.
gone on a track, just like bashing.
I
And
got you.
then we bought a B44, a used one, and
Mm-hmm.
then I raced that for quite a while. I'd say that first winter, I
Yeah.
raced that car, and yeah, since then we bought the next summer, '09. We bought
Okay.
an X-ray from the big RC shop in our area. Bought an
Uh-huh.
X-ray XB8, and yeah, we like me and my dad were both much more interested in 8 scale, and it has always been sort of maybe not the biggest class, but at least the most respected
More
class.
respect class. Yeah.
Yeah, like it has the most prestige always.
It
Like
does.
all the
Yeah.
sort of that's why from the beginning, basically, that first winter I did 10 scale, and then as soon as the summer season started, we moved to 8 scale. And
Okay.
since then, yeah, I did the first year with X-ray, and already the second year was when Joseph had his prototype, and then I started
Yeah,
really
that's what I
loving
was going to next. Next, yeah. So you start off with 10 scale, and then you
it.
jump
Yeah.
out in the 8 scale. And you said your dad also did he race too, or he was mostly your mechanic, or
Well, he didn't race himself. He was
yeah.
mostly a mechanic from the start. Like,
Okay.
bear in mind, during this time, I'm racing motocross, I'm doing RC, all at the same time.
Hmm.
So at this time, it's just like we were doing different things.
Good thing.
I was like every Tuesday, every Monday, we were going motocross practice. Then, like end of the week, we going RC. Then on the weekends, we might go to a race. So
Okay.
I
Yeah,
was
I
doing a
got
lot of things. Then I mean, luckily, I was always quite good at school, so I didn't have to spend a lot of time on that, and I still got good grades.
yeah.
So, like all my free times, pretty much just doing RC or doing motocross. And my dad was really good at getting me involved. And like every time we would work on a cars, I'd be there. I'd help with something, and I
Yeah.
always was the type of kid who wanted to learn everything. So, I mean, yeah, I think I was probably like 12, 13 when my
Hmm.
dad's just stopped doing almost anything. Like the only things he did is when a screw was so tight I couldn't tighten it more or
And
loosen
get
it,
it.
he
Yeah.
would help me with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So from that, man, from you getting going from 10 scale, dad being your mechanic, getting really to 8 scale. So that's when you really got you came and made it and got a relationship and hooked up with JQ. Was that the beginning of that?
Yeah,
When
so
you
that
mm,
was the spring of 2010.
okay.
So
So how do y'all
when
meet? Like, yeah, go ahead.
so basically we were all in the same area, so we had known him,
Right.
like the first winter we both practiced the same track. The second winter we also practiced the same track. We hung out a lot. He was often at the track, so we knew him. Everyone knew he was like, the kind of one of the big guys in Finland, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then, so '09, I raced the X-ray, sort of get used to racing. I'm like, what, 8 years old,
Hmm.
my first year racing. So I wasn't good or anything. But 2010, um, this was where I started to get like more serious about it. This is where sort of RC, like the summer of 2010 is where first in the spring, my dad just randomly went to the track. He was like coming home from work and was like, I'm drop by at the track.
Right.
And Joseph was there alone running his. That was the one of the first tests, of the prototype JQ car, the car.
Hmm.
And my dad noticed that that wasn't, his normal car, and he asked about it and like started talking with him. And
Yeah.
like he's a guy who likes to get along with everyone pretty much, so he quickly made friends with Joseph. Then in the first nationals, that was the first time Joseph let me drive the car.
Right.
So he had to break in an engine the night before the race.
Hmm.
So he was like, "Well, I don't want to break in the engine. Like I have to wrench on my stuff." So he mounted the engine on his practice car and he let
Yeah.
me drive it. So I drove his car for 45 minutes and didn't crash once.
Okay.
Like that was like I was 9 years old then, and like
Okay.
I drove like decent speed. I didn't
Yeah.
crash once. So I think then was sort of my dad wanted me to get to race the prototype, and then Joseph saw it as a good opportunity to just let me drive it.
Hmm.
And that year I got some okay results. Some like I was almost on the edge of making the A main in Finland
Yeah.
at that time. We had
Hmm.
about 70 drivers, 60 to 70 drivers, and I was like, in top half, I'd say, most of the time.
Yeah.
um then that's sort of when I was just still like getting used to racing. But in 2011, that's where things got a bit more serious. I At that point I had stopped racing motocross. I went to some practice. I went to drive once in a while, but I
Okay.
stopped racing motocross. And
Yeah.
we actually attended the Euro Bs in France in
Okay.
2011, and that was the year JQ had released the car, and that was the year where I started making A mains in Finland. I
Yeah.
started to be that was, I think, I'm not quite sure, but I think that was the first time I finished in the top 10 in the Finnish nationals, which
Mm-hmm.
was quite a decent achievement. I think I made the 1/8 at the Euro Bs
Okay.
or 1/16, something like that, which was decent. Like, and I think that would have been like top 60 or something over, 120. And I was 10 years old then. And yeah, that's sort of where I started to be at least somewhat competitive.
Yeah.
And we started to take RC more seriously. And that the next winter is when Joseph signed me onto the team.
Okay.
And
That's what's up.
yeah,
But yeah. So how was the difference between that first um the first car, like compared to, let's say, the black edition? Well,
yeah. Well, there was like
I know
now after a while we can. I mean, I think Joseph would say too that the first car was quite a piece of crap. There was a lots of things that went wrong.
yeah,
Lots of material
material.
decisions.
Hmm.
Some like, especially from like, and most of it wasn't Joseph's fault, really. But it
Yeah.
was lots of things end up going wrong. Um, so in 2012, he released the yellow edition,
Yeah.
and that was a much much better car. And
Okay.
already then he knew the sort of base of the car was like not good. So in 2014,
Hmm.
2014, he releases the black edition, the white edition actually.
Right.
So 2014 was the release of the white edition. Then 2017 was the release of the black edition. So through that time, there was lots of small things. First,
Right.
I remember first we're trying to figure out just like what's wrong with the car. Like can we
Exactly.
improve shocks? We tried a
Hmm.
lot of stuff. Those were the times when Kyosho was the number one car.
Okay.
So we did stuff like, mounted a Kyoto sensitive, mounted a Kyoto shocks, and tried to look like, is that the issue? And those weren't. So
Yeah.
then Joseph moved into like other things like, setup. He ended up making, the C hub style instead of the low C front end. That ended
Okay.
up becoming the white edition.
Yeah.
And then through those years, we tried lots of things. 2016 was sort of the turning point. That was when we had a lot of new parts. We went to 3 millimeter chassis,
Okay.
different shock geometry. Um, we raised the diffs, a
Hmm.
lot of stuff, which ended up becoming the Black Edition release in 2017.
Okay.
And
That sound
yeah,
like it.
it
Yeah.
was sort of a natural progression until the
Right.
Black Edition.
Hmm.
And then after that, it was sort of we were just waiting to get money to make a new car,
I got
basically after that.
you. Yeah, man. That's what's up. So doing all that time, man, and working closer with JQ, man. So
Mhm.
what's some of the great advice that you remember today that he's told you or taught you?
Well, I can't pinpoint like one word of advice, but I think I definitely learned a lot from like the way he does things, his work ethic.
Yeah.
Like he likes to get into the bottom of things. He doesn't just test something and that's it. And
Okay.
that's definitely something we both have thought about, and like we want to make sure that what we do is worth something. It's probably not the fastest way to get there, but then
Hmm.
when we get there we know what we're doing. There's no
Right.
blind spots, no stone
Right.
left unturned.
That's right.
So that's
It's right.
definitely one thing I believe that I've learned from him. And also just like he's a very objective person. Like, yes, he goes on his rants, he's a very vocal guy,
Yeah.
but like the time, like, I mean, we drove like between 2016 and 2019, we drove probably what 30, 40,000 kilometers in the same van together. So that's like,
Yeah, going on trips. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
like what, at least 20,000 miles. So yeah, that
That's
amount
a
of
long
time
time.
spent together. And on top
Exactly.
of that, like we were on the track all day together. After
Yeah.
the track, we talked about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's funny, like even some of these big ideas, not even related to, um, not even related to like JQ or the car, like RCGP, for example. Like we put down names, we like did, like how it would work out. Like this
Right.
was probably like 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
Uh, like things like that. We just like through ideas. Obviously, like RCGP was Joseph's idea from the beginning, which you know he then sort of sold to David, and David took that idea and built
On
built
bit the
RCGP to what it is. But
yeah, bit
like
the structure. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, lots of things we sort of went through, like what could like the future of RC be like, what do we want to achieve with the car.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of shared ideas, lots of things we talked about.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think all of that, it's just like not just one set of advice he gave to me, but I think the way of thinking of how to solve issues. And yeah, we me and Joseph clash quite a lot these days. But I
I got
think but I think it's just that we both like want to do our own thing, and we both have the sort of stubborn trying to make things the perfect, like leaving no stone unturned attitude.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that might clash, but I think we both still are set to do the same things, and that's why eventually, like, why I wanted to join Mayaka, because I don't see anyone else doing it in RC the way he is.
You right. Yeah, he definitely have his own way. And it ain't about um like showing off or nothing like that. It just, he's doing it the right way. You know what I'm saying? Even though I
Yeah.
know that, like you said, his mouth get him in trouble sometime, and he just say
Hmm.
whatever on his mind, just say it. To really don't think
Hmm.
about it. But if you just think about what he's trying to do and what he's accomplished, you got to give him all his props. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
can't deny it. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
man. So
a lot
yeah.
of the things that has happened, like big things, big innovations, like that's come like at least some way through him. He's given the idea to someone. Like
Hmm.
the whole thing, like European championships, like they used to be 3 rounds of practice that were all like 15 minutes long. And now
Right.
they are, like 6 rounds of practice per day that are all 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
And that was all JQ. JQ made
Okay.
that happen. He like gave the idea, changed the format, you know, all things like that. He has had so much influence with, and it's improvement. It's better. That's not
Yeah.
the only thing.
It's improving. That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. So when you decided to leave, go to Associated, did you did you have this feeling for a while, or was it just something that you really just kind of like want something else to do? How'd you go? How'd you approach trying to tell JQ what you was about to do? What was you how was you thinking about it before you actually told, and how was you feeling before you actually broke the news to him that you was thinking about
Well,
leaving?
I kind of said that I had thought about it for a while. Like 2019 was quite a tough year. I raced a lot at the start of the year. Um, I went to America, raced PMB, raced all of these races. Then went to Philippines doing RCGP. Then all the other RCGP rounds,
Mhm.
Euros, a lot of races.
Right.
But it was quite tough because I had the speed. Like at RCGP, I could, like when I had everything working for me, I could, run with the top pack. A lot in many qualifiers, I was, hanging with the pack, but always something, went wrong. Like Philippines, I was struggling with J Concepts tires. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I asked David, we both were having issues that the tires coming unglued, and I mean, there's the famous video of David
Yeah, I seen.
having
Yeah,
his
they.
tires come unglued.
Yeah.
So that was something that frustrated me a lot at the time. Then later on in the season, in fairing, I didn't really have a mechanic. I had to borrow a guy, uh, like sometimes, and it was quite difficult.
Yeah.
Then in Italy, my engine was having some issues. Like I don't know what it was, but I had the issue there. Then I came to
Hmm.
Finland. They had the same issue. Put in a new engine, and there's no issue. Same
Yeah.
like just like that engine had something wrong with it. I don't know
Right.
what it was, and even like Hara and everyone was tuning it, and we couldn't get it to
Still can get it
work.
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but in Italy, I didn't have a new engine because I hadn't broken in one, so I had
Hmm.
to try to get it to work, but it never did. Uh, so that went really bad. And then in America, I had a decent weekend, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was at that time I was kind of too much stuff, and then I had realized that I have to like try to get something done. I had been working already for a few months before that race,
Yeah.
so yeah, there was a lot of things um, that went wrong that year, and I knew for a fact that we wouldn't have a new car for the next 2 years. I knew we were gonna have to race with the Black Edition, which had a lot of issues at the time. A lot of outdated parts and so on. The car was good. That wasn't the issue for me, but just
Yeah.
that I like the car was actually really really fast, and it was quite a good car to drive as well. But for me, it was just that I kind of saw myself, stuck with what I had at the moment,
Yeah.
and I knew like what ended up becoming the Mayako car wouldn't come until 2021 at the earliest.
Hmm.
So I was at work. I was like, well, I mean, I'm gonna have quite quite a lot of money to use because I was still living at my parents' house,
Right.
and like I could travel myself. I don't really need even to get a good deal. I just want to try something.
Hmm.
And what made me choose Associated was that I didn't want to run for HB, um,
Why
for the
not?
reason that, well, the reason was that to get a sponsorship through HB,
Yeah.
I would have had to run Performer engines pretty much.
Okay.
I don't think anyone had a sponsorship through HB which didn't run Performer engine. And at the
Hmm.
time, those weren't that good. Like, at least from what I heard. And
Yeah.
then a few people in Finland tried those, and they just couldn't get them to work like they could OS.
Okay. I got you. That makes
So
sense.
so that was the reason I didn't want to run HB at the time.
Hmm.
Um, then X-ray was one option. I even got an offer from them, but I did reach out to AE, and they were like from the beginning very positive. They wanted me on,
Yeah.
and I felt that the way they responded to me, the way they were interested, and the way they were trying to organize things, I was like, okay, this sounds like the best option for people now. And
Hmm.
everything went really smoothly. I had, considering that I'm from Europe, I had pretty good contact with the American team in designing. Quite a lot of the things that I told them actually got made, like the rear hubs with the adjustable plates.
Okay.
That was something that at least the initial plans they didn't have them on.
Yeah.
So
So they
I
listen.
sent them
Hmm.
my design, and they were like, okay, this sounds good. And then they like adjusted their design to fit that plate design.
I got you.
Same as the LRC rear plates. That was something I told them quite early on that I really liked them, and then
Mm.
they ended up making them. And there was something else. Yeah, they was gonna discontinue a few parts, and I said those are some. I really like those, and then they were like, okay, we're gonna figure something out, and they did. So
Okay.
I got pretty good support from them. Um, Ultimately, the only negative part about being at AE was just that the communication between Europe and America is really tough. You have to like
Okay.
properly reach out.
Right.
They have people who do that really well. Who do like they have like an emailing list that they do, and that
Uh-huh.
was really good for me. And we got to share setups, and we shared quite a few ideas and got the car much better.
Okay.
But then, like from Ongaro, from Tom Robin, any of the
Mm-hmm.
European guys, even when I tried to contact them, I just couldn't, you know. So
I got
so that was a big issue, but that I could have lived with that. But then um, I had a 2 year contract, and
you. Yeah.
I
So
at the end of my contract, I started university. So last fall was the end of my contract, and or like last 2021, at the end of 2021, my contract expired, and I started the university on fall of 2022. So not
okay.
2021.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, do I want to like keep racing the way I am? Do I want to focus more on design? Um, Mayako wasn't like out yet, so this was the perfect chance to join if I wanted to come back to, work with Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I think for the moment, like, because right now, even if I stop racing, I'd still have quite a lot of input, with like, but through AE, if I stop racing, it would be quite difficult. So
Yeah.
I made the choice that right now, like, I'm gonna join Mayako, and that's why I ended up like leaving AE. But all in all, I see it as a really good 2 years. I learned a lots of stuff. They treated me really well, and the car is really good. I do think they went the wrong way with the new car, but I mean, yeah,
But how they go the wrong way if Angara won the world's the world's with it? I know, you know what I'm saying?
yeah. I mean, yes, he won the worlds with it, but he wins everything with anything. He's like, I can't remember now if Rivkin was in the main, but he definitely didn't have a good worlds,
Yeah,
and they had struggles throughout the year. So
I got
I do think that the car they had before was better.
you. Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I do think they went the wrong way. Um, and I think, yeah, it's a bit difficult because the ideas they had weren't that bad,
Yeah.
but then there were some ways they did it that makes the car, in my opinion, not that good. But I mean, it's not a bad car, obviously, but
Right.
I think it could be better.
Okay. I got you. So now since you with Miyako now,
Mhm.
and so what's your position title at Miyako?
Well, I don't know if I have a title or
Mm-hmm.
official position, but basically I'm there just to help with design, get some ideas together. You know, right now I've been working on the e-bug layout, trying to find something that could work for us.
Yeah.
I've done work on like getting the car lighter. Right now I have a car that's like what 300 grams lighter than stock, like
Mhm.
just by modifying parts, not even making strength worse.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
things like that I've been working with. Um, and yeah, helping a lot of the people who run the car, just set up all
Yeah.
of that. And yeah, I do feel like, to be honest, I am very impressed by the car. I think I always knew that when, Joseph like got a blank page and he could design a car, it would be
Mm-hmm.
very good on the track.
Right.
And it indeed is. It's like, in my opinion, looking at the geometry and how the car works, they aren't. I mean, I don't think there are many issues at all. You know,
Right.
the
It's
the
it's
only
very
issues is like some minor things, like the brakes we need to improve a bit. Uh, but like those are the things that it's probably similar to other brands, but we have ways to
yeah.
make them better, and I
Right.
want to do that.
Yeah. And but yeah, and some things like one thing I've noticed since I've built the car and driven it and stuff, um, I think like the shock standoffs just need to be adjusted a little more or whatever to make it a little bit more
Mhm.
smoother. But yeah, it's definitely a
Yeah, things
good
like things
car.
like that we've been actually working with, like coming
Hmm.
up with a new shock design, things like that. There's a few people like Ricardo Costa and Chris Morale has been doing
Yeah.
some testing and stuff like that with us.
Yeah, they
So
have. Hmm.
yeah,
So we
so
got to pretty
there's
much.
like there's a few people who are like, I mean, a lot of these guys have known Joseph for a long while. So, and
Mhm.
also we have like a lot of big name people in the chat. So we've been,
You're right.
trying to get as much as information as possible, like from the mountain biking world, or from the full scale world. There's quite a few people who have, experience of things, have some knowledge that couldn't really be attained in the RC world due to, not having enough funds, like trying different coatings and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not something we can do, but people who work in the mountain bike suspension world, yeah, they
Hmm.
can. That's what all they do pretty much, trying to find things that are less diction, stuff like that, which we couldn't really do, and we probably don't have the time and the resources to find out about even. But that has been, in my opinion, the best thing recently, is that the amount of knowledge inside the Mayako Discord,
Yeah,
and
it is.
that has
Yeah,
allowed a lot of things to be looked at on the car and to find solutions for them to be
it is.
improved.
Like I say, I was amazed at the amount of how it is amount of freedom, far as like in depth things that you see
Hmm.
on the Discord about the car.
Hmm.
Like you said about the design, how how they come up with the designs, how many people are figuring out things to make them better, and
Hmm.
how just kind of like now how they doing coming up with the finishing up the e-buggy stuff, and then now
Hmm.
maybe going into the truggy design, how in depth that it is, and what it takes to get a fully produced car, on the market or
Hmm.
whatever. So it really shows you each little step, and you can play a part in it, and give your advice, especially if you're really out there testing and tuning different stuff. So it's good.
Yeah,
It
and
really is. Yeah.
it's something like, when I was running AE, I was following a lot of Facebook groups, a lot of guys who did their own mods, to the
Mhm.
cars. And there's
Yeah.
lots of great ideas. But that idea getting to the hands of people who are in charge of designing the car, that never happened at AE. That could never happen. And
Yeah.
it's not to the like it's not to the fault of AE. It's just like they don't
Right.
have a similar structure that Mayako has with the Discord, where the whole community gets together and tries some stuff. And for me, example, it's so easy. Like, I can come up with a design, like put in the Discord for some guy, like, hey, would you like to 3D print this and try this out for yourself? I
Mhm.
mean, I'm in the middle of snow. There's probably a feet of snow on the ground, so I couldn't go testing, but some guy can. And
Yeah.
especially if it's something like durability testing or like something like that, I can just be like, hey, try this design out, print or CNC machines this part, and go test it out.
Yeah.
And there's a lots of people in the Discord who like to do that, which, like, that's the reason why they joined the Discord. And
Hmm.
me having the opportunity to get people to try my designs, get feedback, that's something that I think is really, really valuable.
It is. Yeah, it's real valuable. Yeah, man. This is something that you might like, man. I just want you to okay, you driven the black edition and you drove the AE car.
Hmm.
Now you're on the Miyako. So give us just a brief difference in handling and in between those three cars. What I'm saying? Um, what's the benefits of each car, you think?
Well, the Black Edition was a really good car on low grip. It had quite a lot of steering. Um, it rolled really nicely, had a lot of corner speed. But the big issue in that car was the steering geometry was just off. The parts we had and had to use were not optimal. So we had to make quite a big compromise on how the
Hmm.
steering geometry worked, and that was sort of the downfall of the car, high grip especially. And then, like, the rear diff box having the pinion on the side, that was a thing that, those broke too easily. Um, on the handling side, though, the Black Edition was quite good. It should
Well,
have had slightly narrower hinge pin width. That made the
mm-hmm,
car also a bit nervous.
mm-hmm.
Uh, so those actually weren't that bad on low grip, but on high grip it made the car suffer quite a bit.
Okay.
Now with Mayako, it's basically all of the good parts of the Black Edition, but with none of the negatives, kind of thing. You know, very
Yeah.
good, very good corner speed, very stable rear grip, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have the option, to have the old style C hub where there's like high scrub radius, all of that,
Mm-hmm.
or you have sort of pillowball front end style, which I think is the I think there is a fine line there, which can be better than one of the most far ends, but
Yeah.
that's that would have to be tested out through a long period of time and figure it out. But right now, I've been enjoying sort of the pillow ball front end, and on top of all that, the steering jump is fixed. Um, like from a geometrical, how the car works standpoint,
Yeah.
there isn't much to improve for now, at least.
Yeah.
So we're focusing on areas where we can find, extra improvement, like shocks,
Mm-hmm.
um, making the car lighter, trying to optimize the weight balance, things like
Yeah.
that. Getting the center of gravity lower, which we have achieved,
Yeah.
uh, and yeah, those are going to be things that are going to be like the thing is with this is like it's a long process.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have all the ideas pretty much to do things, but it's a long process to put them into production. Like make sure this is the right one we want to do in production, because
Right.
when you make a mold, you're pretty much set for the next few years. It takes a
Okay.
year to get them to production. It takes
Yeah.
another year to get them out to kits and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to keep them up for a few years so you don't like lose money on it.
I
But
got you.
anyway, so that the Black Edition, in my opinion, is handling wise almost a perfect car. There are a few things. It's a little bit too calm on some situations. It pushes a little bit in some situations. But as long as you have the right setup, it's I think it's one of the best cars, or if not the best car, like for what we have now.
I got
Um,
you. Yeah.
And the AE was, in my opinion, I was a bit surprised how good it was because,
Yeah.
um, well, the thing is, I never drove the B3.1, which had
Okay.
major issues on low grip, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it was smooth, it was perfect. That car was really fast, really good. But as soon as you got some bumps, it started to suffer.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could see like Ongaro never did really well at DNC. And that that thing, was at least to some extent fixed with the B3.2. There
Mm-hmm.
was an issue which I think couldn't have been solved, and I don't think any AA driver has solved, which is the fact that the rear end doesn't like to sort of grip up, the same way as like HP or Mayako or Kyosho.
Yeah.
I'd say Techno rear end, like to some extent, would do, where when you go on throttle, you like to grip up.
Mm-hmm.
Mugen is similar, but Mugen isn't as bad.
Yeah.
The B3.2 rear end definitely helped. It helped that effect. And when I got the car, close to the setup I liked, it was really good.
Okay.
I It was fast, it had a lot of corner speed, but I think I would say that car is probably as fast or perhaps even faster than a Mayako on high grip, but
Mm-hmm.
it's slightly harder to drive, and on low grip, it loses quite a bit of its speed. But
Okay.
that rear end design is really good on high grip, but
Yeah.
also it's a downfall on low grip. Sort of a They haven't compromised the rear end; they just made it work on high grip. I don't know
Yeah.
if they're aware of that, like they know that's the case, but that's
Yeah.
how the car effectively works.
Okay.
Um, the front end is pretty much. I'd say actually the B3.2 front end was better than Mugen, but now this new front end is worse than Mugen.
What?
So that's the rear end is quite similar to Mugen. There's
Yeah,
slight differences, but I think the rear end is good for high grip, not
hmm,
optimal for low grip. But the
I
front end,
got.
they could, if they moved back to the old front end, I think they would do better.
Yeah, well, that's what's up, man. From there, man, I just would want to go to um a little bit of setup questions, man. Really just one, but it's kind of kind of something that all of us can really um, um take from. Just what I really want to know, man. What really are when we're first trying to learn setup, get familiar with it. What are some of the basic things that you really need to know, and then you can grow that to saying more advanced stuff. But what's some good basic setup um settings that everyone should know, especially if they want to get deep off in their racing and make this stuff a little bit that much better. What's the things that you picked up over the years that's really important that you may not um that we might not pay attention to?
Well, this is always a difficult question for a few reasons.
Yeah.
One reason is that if you like, if I'm gonna make a statement like, let's say, if you lower your arms, you're gonna get more grip. Well, that statement is not factually correct. It's like
Hmm.
there are many occasions where that does not happen. But it's generally, if you keep it as a rule of thumb, that for most people will be valid.
Yeah.
So the thing is that for me, I understand that if I do this, it will do this, like, and then I have to adjust something else. I go
Okay.
to more kick up, I might have to go to a stiffer spring.
Hmm.
I know that, and when I go to the track and I'm like, okay, this kick up is a bit too soft, and
Yeah.
I know immediately I go to stiffer spring, and it might be better.
Hmm.
But for a regular person, if they did that, they would be like, oh, this is worse, and then they don't think what could be causing it. So it's hard to make basic things like that. But
Okay.
I think there are a few good fundamental things that for most occasions, especially in 8 scale, um,
Yeah, we can go
will
with that.
help.
Hmm.
Yeah. So lowering your arms generally produces more grip. So if you are on a low grip track, let's say some like Thunder Rally, or well, I guess tracks like PNB when the grip is low.
Yeah.
For tracks like that, if you having the car, it just floats on the track. It's too stiff, floats on track. You lower your arms, and you're gonna get quite a bit more grip that way. Um, then another good thing is if your car is grip rolling,
Hmm.
always raise your link on a tower. That will 100% of the times help you. Every
Okay.
time you're grip rolling, just do that.
Hmm.
That will most likely lose you some like rotation. Well, if you do that in front end, it will lose you some like steering.
Yeah.
If you do that in the rear end, it will lose you some grip.
Hmm.
But in the end, you will get rid of that grip roll.
I got you.
So those two are the number one things in my opinion. And if you want the car to sort of sort of like try to push the harder tire more, then you would lower the link. So, but that's again that could like backfire at some point. But
I got you.
generally, though, those three are pretty good rule of thumbs.
Hmm.
Then another one that works 90% of the times is if you are struggling with the car catching bumps, like or ruts, let's say, you
Yeah.
raise the axle. Works both in front and rear end.
Okay.
That works, let's say, 90% of the time. It depends. Like the thing is, like there's so many things that can change. So, but
Yeah.
all of those are safe options to do.
Okay. When you say
Then,
raise the axle, how would you actually go about raising your axle height?
so for pillowable cars, you can't do it for the front, obviously. For C
Hmm.
hub cars, you raise the knuckle.
Okay.
In the rear end, you just raise the hub.
Okay.
So the downside to this is you will lose a little bit of grip. The rear end will
Okay.
float a bit more,
Hmm.
but it will also float over bumps.
Okay.
Then another good thing to know is this is sort of a good like this will work pretty much 100% of the time, but
Yeah.
it's a very minor change to be honest, and it's anti-squat. So if you
Yeah.
have bumps on high speed, you should actually run more anti-squat. So that is when you have, let's say you have a high speed track and on the back straight there's lots of bumps.
Yeah.
You should run more anti squat because then you won't get the rear end to dig into the bumps and you will
Hmm.
go smoothly over them. Then if you have bumps on low speed, you should use less anti squat, so rear
Okay.
arm more flat.
Yeah.
That
I
those
got
are good things to do. Um, Also, what applies is rear shock and well, front and rear shock angle. So if you have bumps over high speed, it's actually better to lay down the shocks.
you.
But
Hmm.
if you have bumps over low speed, it's better to like raise the shocks more stood up.
I got you.
So lots of things has to do with the speed of it happening.
Yeah.
Then I think those are the only ones that are sort of, I'd say, like definitive. Um, well, okay, so one is drive shafts too. So for low grip, low speed, and bumpy tracks, universals are most likely going to be better,
Yeah.
at least in the front. For
Hmm.
the rear, the higher the speed, the smoother the track, the more you're going to benefit off of, CVDs or so
Okay.
CVAs rather.
Yeah.
Um, if it's low grip, the universals might be better in the rear. Um, because the axle joint is more inside.
Hmm.
But generally, if it's high speed, high grip, you go for CVAs. If it's low grip, bumpy, low speed, you go for universals. That's a good sort of baseline. Then
Okay.
if it's mixed of sums, then it can be different.
Yeah.
Um,
I got you. That's what's up, man.
though, yeah,
What about
those are good ones. Those are always
yeah.
those ones that if you should always have those in your back pocket.
Okay.
And for 10 scale, these do work as well.
For 10
You
still. Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Let's do
But
it. Yeah.
the issue with 10 scale is oftentimes you don't have to worry about bumps. You
Hmm.
have to just worry about the grip. So then, a lot of these things don't really affect the car the same way because in 8 scale, like I said about the anti squat, I said about the knuckle and axle height, like that thing doesn't really apply to 10 scale at all.
Yeah.
But and also one thing is like, especially these days, a lot of these 10 scale cars are designed for carpet, and then you have to know that the point you're starting at is actually for carpet. You have the arm really high, really low, the link really high or really low, and the condition between carpet, like you're running below 15 millimeter ride height, and then you go on, you know, to dirt, and you're running like close to 20 millimeter ride height. Yeah, obviously a lot of things are going to change in the car. Also,
Yeah.
like tire height, like a lot of things matter in 10 scale. So it's not as straightforward. In 8 scale, we're driving in a similar grip level always, similar with similar tires. So the setup of the car is going to be more universal. Um,
Okay.
but like simple things like raising the link, that will always apply to 10 scale the same way as 8 scale. If you're grip rolling, always raise the link.
Okay. Yeah.
um, if you need the car to sort of stick into the ground better, um, you can lower the link.
Hmm.
Those are sort of the good rule of thumbs. Um, but especially in four-wheel drive, the rear arm and link height can change massively.
Okay.
Especially
Yeah.
between carpet and dirt. Like you could raise the arm 4 or 5 millimeters, and the car would still work, different way, but it
Hmm.
would work. In 8 scale, if you did that, it would be a completely different car.
Yeah. Okay, bro. Hey, man. And another thing I had personally, I just want to know the importance of camber. Camber a powerful tool that people sometimes forget to try before they start changing stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I think, and one thing that annoys me a lot It is when I tell a driver to please change your axle height or something,
Yeah.
but then they don't take into account that your down travel changes, you know.
Okay.
Camber is one of those things, you know. You change your link position and you run the same camber. Well, let's say you move your link inside or outside, the camber change, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the camber gain changes a lot, you know. It's a
Oh, you could
completely
check it.
different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and same with like if you raise your, let's say in 10 scale, you raise your link by 2-3 millimeters,
Mm-hmm.
the camber gain is a massive difference. It's not like a little bit. It's like you're talking probably degrees of
Yeah.
change. So that's something people highly undervalue. And
Okay.
Joseph has actually been the biggest you know advocate for you know checking your camber,
Camera. Yeah.
and it definitely is a thing you should try. Like next time, like just to convince everyone, next time you go out on track, get your buddy with you,
Mm-hmm.
go drive a few laps, get a feel for the car, tell him to turn like let's say half a degree. You don't have to measure it, like how 2 turns, 2 half turns more camber in the front. Go
Yeah.
drive a few laps, you'll immediately feel a massive difference.
Okay.
And then do that to both directions. When you start feeling it better, turn it more until it's start getting worse. Then you find the sweet spot.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the best way to find yourself the good camber setting. And when you do this a few times of practice, you start to feel it at races too. You know,
Yeah.
like one thing that I've been talking with Jared from his first race at SIC, one of
Mm-hmm.
his biggest issues was that you know he had too little rear camber,
Yeah.
and when after the race when he tuned the camber, he said the car was so much better, much better,
Okay.
just the camber, you know.
Yeah.
And that's something you know that he's new to the car. He doesn't know what's you know how it should feel when it's set up correctly.
Yeah.
Like something he just didn't you know couldn't recognize or feel. Like most pro drivers when they get used to a car, like Jared probably is at this point, he's had more than one practice day behind his back. He
Yeah.
probably can feel that already. But just to get the feeling on your car, what a good camber or bad camber feels like, that is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely the best way to make it. And you can't be like, well, it has 1 degree camber, that's gonna be good. No, like all the things affected. Camber gain, like axle height, um, things like that affected. There's there's so many things that affected. Let's say you have lower towing or something,
Yeah.
like that will that will immensely affect it because your car won't be, you know, um, your car won't be fighting rotation as hard.
Right.
So
I got
now you
yeah.
can ride less camber in the rear, keep the rear end, you know, more
Okay.
stood up.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like many things, but as Joseph has said this same point, and I think this he's the first one who said it. Just go on the track, get your friend to help you, turn the camber both ways, see what's your sweet spot. And the funniest thing is, we did this to Joseph once. Like I think it was 2019 or something.
Yeah.
Like he was like his car felt good, but it was a bit off, you know. So it was like
Mm-hmm.
let's just tune camber now. And I
Yeah.
was there in the pits. I was tuning his camber,
Mm-hmm.
and then I actually had a thermometer. I measured both sides of the tires,
Yeah.
and like I didn't even like you know like I didn't listen to his input or tell him what I did. I was just measuring the temperature of the
Right.
tires, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So the inside and outside is the same, you know. So the most hottest spot is in the middle. And
Mm-hmm.
I tuned it and tuned it and tuned it. It got better and better and better. And he ended up doing his like he ended up improving his 5 minute run by I think 5 seconds or something. Like pretty
Good.
much half a
Yeah.
second a lap almost.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the second day we're at this track. So it's not like, you know, first day at the track.
Mm-hmm.
And then we came off the track, we measured camber. We were, I think, positive half a degree in the rear. You know? So we're
Yeah.
in positive
Mhm.
camber and he liked it. He did faster with it and it worked better. And that was
Okay.
just because at that
Yeah.
track, with the
Mm-hmm.
setup he had, that worked good. You know, that's when the car, you know, was like that. He had a lot of camber gain probably. I can't remember the exact specifics, but most likely had a lot of camber gain where when you accelerated rear and went down and it produced a lot more camber. And that's why we
Yeah.
had positive. So it was straight then.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things like that, you know, and
Man. Yeah.
sometimes positive camber can work. It shouldn't, but sometimes it can.
Yeah. Hey man, that's what's up. Hey man, we appreciate dropping them gems on us. Like I said, it's something that and one thing I know to to help us, I know that like when you build your turnbuckles, having them like all on face a certain way, like the notch be the same way. So when you do adjust, it'll be easy. All of them pretty much move the same way. You know what I'm saying? That just makes it easier for
Yeah,
you to,
yeah,
to
100%. That's
yeah.
that every time I, during my years, a lot of the times I'm at the track, you know, someone's struggling with the car. I go look at it, drive a few laps, and then I tune the camber and I go, oh, shit, all of these are different directions. I definitely do that. That's going to
Yeah.
make our life much
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah.
And like, to be honest, it's a bit frustrating when, like, every time these days when I take someone's car, like, people always say, like, I'm struggling with my car. I don't think I like this car. You know, be it AE, be it some Schumacher or something like this. I don't. I think I'm gonna change this car. Then
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, let me look at it. I tuned the camber, you know, with a spray bottle can or something, like not
Yeah.
even measuring it, just doing like close.
Mm-hmm.
Then I set the right height, you know, change like sure their EPA is right. Like 90% of the time someone says their car doesn't work, they've tuned the
Yeah.
EPA wrong, you know. That's like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So I do those things and then like, oh, this car is like a different animal, you know.
Right.
And it's
It's
like,
that change.
for
Yeah.
me, it's like for me those are like the basics. But for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, they never got, you know, never had that experience, you know, never like
That was
put
taught
that
that.
much
Yeah.
time into where they would
Yeah.
realize that was the difference. But
Mm-hmm.
like, it's usually simple things, you know. You don't really have to know everything about link change or whatever.
Yeah.
You just have to like get it close. And a lot of people, it's like, I take a look at a car and like, hey, put your link there. Then they put it
Yeah.
there, like, wow, I love this car now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be just one simple change, and a lot of people will like their car.
I got you. Yeah, man. Okay. But one thing I really want you to answer, man, and like I said, I just attended the SIC race,
Mhm.
which was a good race. But only thing that just when I go through, do my little content and record,
Mhm.
the drivers and even I record everybody. It ain't just pro drivers, it's sportsmen, whatever, everybody. And one thing they were saying is just sometime they were saying that like that we had like rough driving in practice in our little practice rounds, you know what I'm saying? And then it was in the qualify, it still kind of was a lot of beating and banging, you know what I'm saying, in the races themselves. And so do you feel that we really should have officials there other than just the race director, you know, calling races, looking for stuff like that
Y-
to make it a
Yeah,
better,
so
to make you have a better race experience, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, so there definitely should be two guys. One guy who's just announcing, like, race director, and
Right.
another guy who's scouting around the track, seeing, you know, like, because if you're the announcer, you're making sure the timing works, all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much. You can't see anything.
Yeah.
And so basically, all you need is just another guy up there helping, you know, calling the
Mm-hmm.
race. Um, I think that would help a lot. But the big issue is not really that there isn't this person, it's that there really isn't any rules on that, you know. There
Okay.
really isn't a rule like, hey, you can't take this guy out. Like, you can go to BNB and you can't find that rule anywhere, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the times it's just that there isn't a culture of doing it, and
I
it
got
takes a lot of effort to do that. And it kind of has to be like a public announcement, like, hey, we're gonna do, you know, calling takeouts and stuff like that, and we're gonna have a guy who's doing it.
yeah.
Um and a lot of the times the issue is also that the referees are afraid of calling a penalty, because
Mm-hmm.
people get mad, they start yelling, they come after the race, they yell at your face, you're trying to just get through your race program.
Right,
They just
right.
bother, they just don't bother with it.
Yeah.
And I think the culture or cultural, you know, issue is the bigger one. But
Mhm.
100%, especially these big races should do that. They should have a guy there, like two guys at least. If they have now, if they have two now, they should have a third one,
Yeah.
or something. Because it's, yes, it's a bit more expensive, but it makes the race a lot better. But like personally,
Yeah.
um, I do think there are bigger issues at these big events, like the schedule, the amount of like how long it goes through
Mhm.
Sunday night,
Mhm.
and yeah, there's a lot of things these races could improve on. Yes, the takeouts and um, takeouts and all that. Yeah, like that should be solved as well. But I think the race organizers should focus first on getting a decent, like nice, like race organization happening. Like definitely no 7.5 minute maze.
Yeah.
That's you should like that's the first thing.
Your partner just jumped in here. You see who this
Yeah, I'm repping him. I'm repping him.
is? Keenan. Keenan, what's up, bro? Yeah. But yeah, man. But yeah, like I said, great race, man. But like everybody was just saying the same thing, man. And he Lance is one guy. He does a great job, but
Yeah.
he needs some help, calling, rough
Mhm.
driving when it happens, and all that, like you said, that's just gonna set the tone. You know what I'm saying? If it's called out at the beginning, and but like you said, it's got to be done more regular, so
Mhm.
a it'll be more fresh to the whole culture of
Yeah.
RC than just a
Yeah,
one
and
race
I
thing.
think
Yeah,
it just transfers around everything. Like even what I've been hearing, there's a big issue of getting marshals. Like people don't marshal after their race. Like it's a people take out others without no like responsibility. People don't
yeah,
marshal.
hmm,
All of that ties in together. It's just that they're just there. They pay the money. They don't care.
yeah,
And that's that attitude would need to change to things to get better. And I mean, yeah, you probably could solve it with getting another guy. At least that would make it a much better.
yeah.
Because then you would have the sense of, hey, if I take someone out, I could get a penalty. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Right. That's it. But yeah, man, what you think about what's your thoughts on the new Raw president, Clayton Young? You think he'll
well,
be
I
a difference
haven't
maker?
I haven't heard much of him. I listened to the podcast with Keenan,
Yeah,
but um, yeah, it's a little bit hard because if Roar wanted to make things right, they would have to fight not only the old guard of Roar, they would have to
yeah.
fight the race organizers as well. Because I'm 99% sure uh, any of the big race organizers don't want Roar to get involved.
Yeah.
And if Roar tried to do it themselves, it wouldn't work. There's just
Hmm.
like at least the way they would want to do it, like send two guys over who are just a mold guard, do
Yeah.
nothing,
Hmm.
and like try to enforce rules but actually do nothing. So
Yeah.
that's not going to work out. So the change he would have to do would be really really big. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things he would have to change. So he's definitely going to fight an uphill battle. I don't know him well enough to say if he's willing to do that or
That
if
type
that's
of
his
yeah,
goal.
that type of guy that yeah,
Yeah, but I
yeah.
do think he will improve things. That's like listening to his ideas, what he wants to do.
Hmm.
100% he will move things into a better direction.
Better direction.
But
I
just
believe so.
just like I don't think like Efra in Europe is like okay. Uh, Basically, what I'm trying to say is, in America, no one gives a shit about Roar.
Yeah.
In Europe, Efra has pretty much most of the power, but they just don't want to work with anyone else. In
Okay.
America, if Roar wanted to work with people, people probably wouldn't want to work with Roar. But in Europe, EFRA has to like they could just say yes and that's it, you know. But
Yeah.
they haven't done that. But in
Okay.
America, even if Roar said yes, nothing would happen. They would have to be like, hey, please work with us. We're gonna change things. We're gonna do this, do that.
Yeah.
So you can't really change the American racing, culture, the sphere of racing in America, because that is 90% controlled by the big race organizers. They can say, yeah, we're gonna hold a 3-day race. It's gonna be from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Hmm.
Like, the whole day race, you're gonna get no practice. You gotta have the track open for 12 hours, and you're gonna go there, wait 40 minutes in line, and then you get to race a 10-minute main. At the end of the weekend. And yeah, you're gonna pay $100 per class, and 150 in the worst case per class.
Yeah.
They control that, and they have a monopoly because people go there. Like
You right.
all these big
They
races
pay for
go
it all
get
the
like
time.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You right.
they make a
Yeah.
lot of money. There isn't really any competition, and they don't really have any incentive. Why would they change? I I'm like almost confident like these big races could charge 200 per entry and they would make more money. Obviously they wouldn't get as many entries, they would get a little bit of bad press, but they would
Hmm.
make more money in the end. They're just sort of balancing how much they can charge and keep the same type of event. So, and that is the issue.
Yeah.
why would
I
you
believe so too.
pay
Yeah.
why would you pay Roar to come there when people don't want it, when people don't need it, and no one, there's no incentive to do that.
I got you.
But EFRA,
Hey,
EFRA
yeah.
has that position in Europe, so there's much more willingness to do that. Like
Yeah.
something like EOS, ETS, people go there, they just need some like structure, they need some help, and EFRA
Yeah.
could do that.
Okay.
But in America, like race time don't need help or dirt or whatever. These big guys, they're doing just fine right now. They don't
Yeah.
really give a shit. Like,
I
and
got
I mean, I'm not blaming them for it because they're doing a good job at what they're designed to
what
do,
they
which
doing.
is get as many entries as possible to make money and keep putting on races.
I got you. Yeah. That makes sense, man. It does. And like you
And
said,
then
we see
yeah.
it. Yeah, we see it all the time. And and like you said, they really don't they don't really need it's the need is there to have an official whatever. It's there.
Mhm.
But like you
Yes,
said,
yeah.
the race, what I'm saying, the race promoter himself really don't have to, invest that much, invest that to
Yeah.
get somebody. And then, like I said,
Yeah.
Roar really not going to send nobody out to these events to do it.
Mhm.
So it just is what it is. So
Mhm.
yeah, man. So
Yeah. My like here's my idea of how this could work out. So Roar now goes to, like, let's say Lance, he organized a lot of races in the southeast, says,
mhm,
hey, we don't need no money, we don't need nothing.
yeah,
Your races just qualify as regional Roar qualifier,
yeah,
Southeast Roar. They split it into how many districts they want, and this is now Roar, regional race, and you get
yeah,
a title for it.
yeah.
Then
That's
they
kind of
go
what Rich is
to
saying.
they
Yeah,
go to some other race organizer, let's say
mhm,
JBRL. They go
mhm,
there, say, hey, can you do these adjustments? Let's try to make it a bit more universal, and you get a Roar badge. No
mhm,
money, no nothing.
mhm,
Try, like, at least get some tech, whatever, and that's it. Like, you don't have to be as tight as you're at the Royal Nationals, but get your name out there. Then
right,
year on year, build on it. Then in the end, make people trust Roar enough that you can be go to Joey and Dave, race time
right,
with the dirt, and
mhm,
say like, hey, please guys, let's make this a series. Let's make it American series, and then we can have the Roar Nationals on top of that. The
yeah,
no more races. It's just a Roar badge on it.
I
And
got,
then
yeah,
from there on out, you bring ties together. You can plan together. Both have their influence. Roar can, let's say they get like what, a $10 per entry.
Yeah.
So it's not essentially it's not that huge, but that allows them to send a guy there. He can be the referee. He like there can be another guy perhaps who can do the tech, and then that's how you grow as a roar. Like Dave or Joey don't have the incentive to do that right away, but
Right.
if people start to respect roar, then that could happen, and that happens through getting your name out there, saying hey, like to Lance who organize races or the JBRL, like hey, let's
Mm-hmm.
please just put a roar badge on it. We'll be helping you out with something. We'll send you a tent that says roar, whatever it is. Get your name out there,
Right.
and then it will continue bit by bit. But the one way it will never work out is that Roar will come up with, hey, we're gonna organize Roar regionals at this track here, and there's gonna be Roar guy there, but the race is gonna be otherwise complete shit.
Yeah.
Go
I
to
got
races that people respect already.
you. Mm-hmm.
In Europe that would be EOS, ETS. Then join forces, do it properly. Do it like people do it in real sports, promoter and then the
Right.
officials,
Mm-hmm.
that's the only way it works. And
Yeah.
that is how you
That's
solve
it.
issues, especially in America. It's really hard to do because it's a very market based system.
Base.
In
Yeah.
Europe it's easier because everything is more, everything is a club or a federation or something. It isn't that much market based, so in Europe it's easier to do that, but still EFRA hasn't done it the right way because they
Yeah.
want to sort of hold their power or whatever.
I got you.
But that
Yeah.
is eventually the way to do it.
Do it.
And
Mm-hmm.
the absolutely worst way to try to gain things, and EFRA has proved this. They made EFRA GPs. No one goes there. No one gives a shit, and nothing happens.
Right.
But the
You
worst
right
thing
though.
Roar could do is to
Exactly.
make regional races and say this is now Roar regionals, and no one goes there. And then everyone's like, why do I gotta pay more money to go to this race when I can go to JBRL or Lance's race, which is already a established, well put together event.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, man, like Clayton, he just like you said, Clayton gonna have to just get in there, see how things are,
Hmm.
and like you said, he gonna have a long road to hoe. You know
Oh,
what I'm
for
saying? A
sure.
long road to get stuff done. But like you said, if he keep with it, and get the right people behind him, you know,
Hmm.
also to help him, I believe he could change some of this stuff
Yeah.
and just make sure
And then,
makes things a little bit more
yeah,
structured. Yeah. So we will
yeah.
have
The thing is though that like Roar nor EFRA and for that matter RCGP,
mm,
none of them really have the negotiating power over these big races. Like let's say the initial idea of RCGP was DNC or Neo Buggy or one of these, like all of these four races would be the big race.
yeah,
Instead of it being just a big race named DNC, it would be like part of RCGP.
yeah.
Like I don't know if DNC was part of the plan, but like as an example.
Mm-hmm.
And but the issue is that if Roar did that, RCGP did that, or EFRA did that for Neo or whatever,
Yeah.
they don't have the negotiating power. So all you can do is say this is an affiliate event of Roar, this is an affiliated event of EFRA.
Right.
And even that's a stretch to these current, organizations, or let's say current federations rather. They don't want to do that. But
Yeah.
that's all you can get. And that is a bad thing because
Mhm.
if you want to have a series, it's best for it to be universally, done well. Format same, it gives same chances to everyone.
Right. Right. That makes
It
sense.
benefits the film crew, whatever.
Right.
But unfortunately, the situation is that these already established races have that power of saying we're gonna do how we want,
Yeah.
even if you like put up RCGP, we're just kind of like no one's gonna go there, and we will make deals with the current manufacturers and do that, and perhaps most of it's probably not with ill intent,
Mm-hmm.
It's just that people are content with what they have,
What they
even
have,
though
yeah,
we all see that things are going shitty for other people. But taking the step of saying, hey, we're going to work together, we're going to do this. And yeah, it might take a few years to make it work profitably. It
yeah,
might take a lot of work. We have to send guys overseas or whatever. That is a sort of a risk to take, but in the long term, it's worth it.
right,
Well, unfortunately, people generally don't think for long term. So right now, if we want to get things better, we have to
yeah,
take what we can get.
yeah.
Let's make it like a series, Roar
Series,
series. Just put a fucking badge on it that says Roar
right,
affiliated series, and
right.
then you have, let's say, PNB, DNC. That
You
I
still
don't
have your
know if
same,
I don't
yeah,
if I was Dave or Joey and I was doing what they were doing with what I think their intentions are, I
mm-hmm.
don't see any point in me agreeing to that. But I hope they would.
Yeah,
I think that could be something that could work out in the end. But at least
right,
this regional stuff, this could be a very, very good starting point. But the worst
mm-hmm.
thing you could do is make your own races and try to do that. You have the Raw Nationals, you're not gonna have more at this rate. Like
Right,
maybe if you spend a fuck ton of money, like
right.
a lot of
A lot of
money,
money. Mm-hmm.
yeah. But you don't have that, you can't
Right.
do that.
I get it, man. Hey, bro. Hey, man. You need to go ahead on and put that political suit and tie on and get over there and you know what I'm saying, IFMAR and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Get
Yeah,
inside.
I mean,
Yeah.
the reason why I'm so involved in this type of stuff these days is because I am in charge of the Finnish eight
Right.
scale
Okay. I
federation.
got you.
So
So you in there? Look.
yeah,
Yeah. You already in there. I got you. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Rick Hess was saying. He said make the regional races a requirement for the national and regional results seeds the
That
qualify.
is that is
Yeah.
definitely one way to do it. But right now, I don't think the raw nats fill anyway.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they're fully filled. So it's like, and also one big, really big issue is that no one wants to hold the race. No, there's no race
Right.
organizer who wants to keep the race. So
Hmm. But yeah, man. One more thing. What Keenan said right here. He said Joy and Mav
yeah,
TV
okay, well that's
kept
good, but
their
like
series
how like
on the races.
is that it's gonna really happen? Why isn't Roar involved in this?
Yeah.
And yeah, let's see if people like. Here's the thing: you can make it a series. But will
Hmm.
people treat it as that? That's
Yeah.
also a big issue. Like you
Yeah.
can announce a series, but sometimes people just don't give a shit.
Don't care. Yeah, you
So
right about that.
there has to
Don't
be
crow.
some.
Don't show
There
up.
has to be
Yeah.
some like incentive to actually attend all those races. So, but I
Hmm.
hope things like this are good, and I hope Roar is there in the start. I hope
Yeah.
Roar like, hey, let's put our badge on it. You don't have to like send anyone there. Just like let's work together. That's where
Right.
all of this starts.
Yeah. So Max, how you feel about you think we should have more money races?
I'm kind of torn on that issue because for publicity and all that, it definitely is good,
Yeah.
especially inside RC. But then from like objective standpoint, like
Hmm.
logical standpoint, I think it's just not like worth it. Like I'd rather have a good event
Yeah.
than a mediocre event that has a big price pot.
Yeah.
Because even though it attracts some people, I don't know. Like, yeah, it's a choice. It's a marketing choice of the
Hmm.
promoter.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it's gonna be. I don't think I wouldn't say it's a good idea, but uh, for some, I from some race organizers, I think it can work out, and definitely for the no prep, it has been something that has
Right.
drawn up people to it.
Yeah.
But definitely not for like sportsmen and expert and stuff like that, because
Hmm.
then it's just people gonna start sandbagging more than ever.
You right. Okay, man. Oh yeah. Now let's switch gears for a minute now. All right, a couple of podcasts ago, I had I had one of your best friends on here, and
Yeah.
he had said some things, and I just wanted you to listen to this, and I just want to get your response to it, and
Yeah.
and so let's just see, let's see what he said, you know. So hold on, let me get it set up. Okay. Okay.
I don't know. I think if they did, then good for them. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think. I think it's definitely a better European car than it is the States car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's definitely designed more for the European tracks. But, and then of course, you know, they have Max running it, so you know that car is going to be good because Max knows everything. So,
So what? So you want what you scared to listen to some of Max setup? Why? Why?
no,
Why the
let me
hesitation
get
of Max? Max got good setup though, Jeff. What's up?
here's my problem, Matt. So
What's up with Max, man?
here's my problem, Matt. Here's a guy whose only relevance is because he's on Keenan's show. If it wasn't for Keenan's show, there isn't anybody that would know who the hell Max Mort is. Right? So now you have a guy that has no relevance, that has no he's fast in Finland with he can beat JQ, right? We know that. He says that all the time. He can beat JQ. That's it. That's the extent of his people that he can beat. But my biggest issue with Max that just drives me insane is you have a guy who's going to go on the podcast and he's going to stay here and he's going to talk about a driver and a car and a track. And he's talking about a driver he's never met. He's talking about a track he's never raced on. He's talking about a car that he's never driven. And he's going to sit here and try and convince me that he knows the driving style, he knows the car setup, he can tell the guy what to do different from watching his car go around a track on Live RC 3,000 miles away. I have a hard time buying into that. Like, I have a real issue accepting that this kid.
But he knows setup, yeah. Joe, he knows setup.
He knows what JQ has told him. That's all he knows.
All right, man.
That's actually good. I mean, I thought he had a better argument, but actually, that's like basically he just said that I'm a fucking wizard, which I am. So, you know, okay. So let me go through because I think that's a good thing he brought up. A lot of people.
Break it down for him, man.
Barry, for example, he was really like the biggest gripe he has with me is that I criticized Fend for through watching a video of his car. But every time I ask him, well, what was the issue? He never says anything. He knows what the issue is. And he also knows I'm right, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the issue. Like, yeah, I can look at the setup, the changes they made. Yeah, sometimes they are not the right. Sometimes they lie on the setup sheet. Most of the time they do. But like the thing is, what was I? I was 9 or 10 years old. I was 10 years old when I started watching, races, like all of the races of everywhere, every single video of Neo Buggy.
Yeah.
Then I started going to Euros and have gone to Worlds, Neo Buggy races like that since 2012, since 2011 almost. So I watched the videos, I saw what they did on track, I heard through like what people who know them, what they do with setup. and then I connect the dots, you know.
Yeah, I got it.
And
I understand.
throughout the years, I've learned to see things. Yes, obviously, if I was wrong 50% of the time, that's not a surprise. I'm fucking watching a video of live RC. That's why I say that's what I think it is, you know?
Yeah.
That's my best guess.
Mm-hmm.
But to this day, every time I ask someone if it's wrong, they can never say it's completely wrong, you know? And like as long as I see a video of like in 20 what was 2020 DNC was the one that I'm almost certain I was right.
Mm-hmm.
Fence car was driving like it was too lean. He ended up pulling a plug, which happened when you run a car too lean. And his car was really a Joe weekend. So in my mind, I know how the car is, I understand how it works, and I see how it goes around the track, what kind of mistakes he makes.
Right.
Not hard to, for me to determine what's wrong. And yeah, sometimes it's impossible to see,
Yeah.
but at
Mm-hmm.
least I can have an idea of what could be wrong. And that is like, yeah, you can say that, my like looking at the video and making a determination of what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like obviously that's probably not the best way to judge, how a car actually is. But I do my best. Like that's all I can do.
Right. I got you.
And
I understand.
knowing from people I've worked with, people I've looked at the setup, most of the time I know what's going on. I know what's wrong. So and like that is the thing. Like yeah,
Yeah.
obviously I'm wrong a lot of the times, uh, but I'm also right a lot of the times. And that the thing about the podcast is what I say there is just like yeah, that's what I saw, that's what I think, and I can't say anything for certainty. You never can.
Right.
But
You right.
at least I know things well enough where I can give out my best guess, and I have a quite high confidence it can be right.
Yeah, but he was
Um,
just saying, he was just
yeah.
his his idea is you have to give it to him. He was like, so how can you tell these things such and such is off or whatever, camber, whatever, if you're not, not there specifically at the track, at the race to see it yourself, what is it doing? How can you make a judgment if you're not there? So,
Mhm.
but yeah,
Yeah,
go
but you
go
can
on and
you can
explain yourself.
see
Yeah.
you can see a lot of things from video, like
Mm-hmm.
and it like it's just that a lot of these guys who have been racing for a long time, they always bring this up. Oh, he's just a kid, whatever. But the thing is, like even here, like the biggest gripe Jeff had that he's a kid from Finland. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not American, and I tell shit about what people do wrong, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm also much younger. So that's why he has that opinion of me.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, when I look at an RC car, I'm not like, yeah, he's going faster on the track, looking good, like he's giving it all. I look
Yeah.
at, hey, when he accelerates out of that point, that's what the car does. It does this little twitch. I
Mm-hmm.
see it. I ask about it. Uh, like I find out what's wrong, and then I try to fix it.
Right.
Guys like Keaton, uh, and people who they don't go that far. What they think is like, oh, he looks good. Like they give out feeling statements. Like Keaton predicted Fenn to dominate the worlds because he's so fast. He barely fucking made the main. Yeah, he TQ'd at least few other rounds, and I don't know if he was over a TQ, but yeah, he was fast
Mm-hmm.
in qualifiers. He barely made the main, and it's like like a lot of people expect everyone to just make guesses. He's like guessing something,
Mm-hmm.
and with me is I make some. I look at lap times, I look at what they're doing on video, and I have a quite good idea what they're doing. I
What
ask
we're
people
doing.
a lot of stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
I try to learn from things. I just
Yep.
don't go to races and just chill out. That's what most of these people do. They do RC for fun. For me, it's more of I would try to learn more, and I do that with everything. I do that with F1. I do that with rallying. I look at the cars. Um, I look at
The
everything.
situation, yeah,
And
what's going
the
on?
thing
Yeah,
the thing
I got
is
what you're saying.
the thing is
Yeah.
I've been reading, learning about art. You could ask anyone who knows me well, and they could say I know everything about RC. Like Joseph even called me, a walking dictionary at one point, because everything he had an answer, a question about, I knew something about, like who
Right.
finished what, where, at what race.
Hmm.
And it's just like people oftentimes think that just being at places, having the experience is enough,
Hmm.
but that's worth nothing if you don't make use of that. And I think that's the big issue about things. Like someone like Barry, he's wise. He has lots of experience. He knows about things, but he still
Yeah.
probably cannot measure a car and look at it on CAD and say like, "Hey, it's gonna do this."
Yeah.
Whereas I can do at least part of it. Maybe I don't know some specific thing about setup that he has tried, 20 years ago.
Hmm.
But at least I can see the things more scientifically. And what comes to like Joseph teaching me everything, yeah, I've learned a lot of stuff from Joseph. But the reason why we tend to disagree a lot of the times is because not everything I tell and speak about I've learned from him. There's
I
lots
got
of things that I know more about than Joseph. There's lots
you.
of things
Hmm.
that he knows more about than me. And a lot of the times when we discuss each other with each other, yeah, we find
Yeah,
new things we can both find in setup, find in whatever it is.
I got you.
And
So yeah, man.
what comes to me being relevant, that was the point he makes. I don't really understand that point because I've been on a podcast like what since the beginning. Since the first
Yeah.
podcast, I've been helping out Keenan. I did clips for the first half a year.
Hmm.
I was on the second or third podcast ever. I've
Yeah.
been there since the beginning. I've been helping him out a lot. And I was on a podcast for I've now been on a podcast for what, probably 2 years, like pretty much every other episode or so.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, yes, obviously, uh Keenan is just the face of the podcast, but like most of the questions that come in every week, I answer them. Joseph answers like probably half of them. I answer the other half of them. So
Yeah.
I
You're
think
right
the
now.
reason why people
A
I
good
think
argument.
why people think that I don't have relevance or whatever is because they don't take me, seriously. They don't look at me as like, oh, he's, you know a
Been in it
guy in
long enough.
RC, because I'm a new guy. I'm barely 22. I'm not like an Ongaro who's won the worlds at the age of what, 17, 18.
Yeah.
And but I know things about other stuff, and that's always the thing. Like everyone will respect some football player at the age of 18 when he's really freaking good, but try to find a coach that's 18. You can't find it. I mean,
It's rare.
that's the
It's
thing.
rare.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's and that's not because some person cannot know enough about the game or have an idea of the game, but it's about just like people value experience more than it might actually be worth in some scenarios. And
Mm.
my thing always has been that I say things confidently, but if I'm proven wrong, I learn from it. And
Yeah.
the reason why I say things confidently is because if I said maybe or I didn't say things at all,
Hmm.
no one would be to correct them. I think there's even a philosophic law about this, that or no, it's about internet actually. Yeah, so it's I can't remember the name of the thing, but you are more likely to find the right information on the internet by posting the wrong information and someone correcting you than
Right.
asking for the right information.
That makes
you know
sense. Makes sense.
so
Yeah.
for me, it's better to say something confidently and then someone getting mad at me and trying to correct me than for me to be like, hey, I would like to know something.
Yeah.
And what comes to my racing career, yes, I'm probably not the most like successful driver, but I think people don't really like Keaton doesn't really understand that that year I went to PMB. I hadn't driven an 8 scale car in had half a year.
Mm-hmm.
I did what? Open practice I did half an hour tops, and I made it to the main. I was faster than Drake in the qualifiers, and he ended up taking me out,
Yeah.
because he couldn't believe I was in front of him or something like that. And that was with no 6 months of not driving 8 scale. I made the
Yeah.
main in PNB. Yeah, I had a flame mounted in the main, and it went to shit. But at RCGP, I raced against the best of the worlds. I finished sixth in Manila,
Yeah.
seventh at Thunder Alley. Um, I made the Euro semis, and there's lots of, and yeah, Keenan keeps saying the 2018 DNC Open class win. I pretty much dominated the field. I would have made the B main in pro from the
Yeah.
qualifiers with the times I
Mm-hmm.
did. So it's like, yeah, obviously I'm not the fastest guy in the world, but I've always focused on more
Do
than just
you?
driving,
Mm-hmm.
I've
Yeah.
done other
Yeah.
things than drive. And I also from
Mm-hmm.
Finland, so it's not easy to make. And it's funny that people say that, oh, I'm fast in Finland, whereas there was two guys in the semis at the Euros this year. One guy made the main, and Joona and Pekka are like one of the fastest kids in Europe right now. And
Yeah.
I still like regularly beat them in Finland. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, yes, I'm not, an Ongar or whatever, but especially Americans seem to have a little bit of a biased take towards American drivers. Someone who makes the B main in America is not really, he wouldn't be even close to being pro in Europe, but in America he might make it.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey,
It's just that the
man,
American market is quite a bit, more marketable than the European market. Let's put it that way.
that's it. I can say, man, it just, y'all, you and Keenan just need to go on, have no name RC
Mhm.
show.
Yeah.
If y'all can't do it there, y'all can come over here to the RC lounge and just have a friendly debate on how y'all
Yeah.
feel.
I
And
think Jeff is sort of Jeff is the type of person who he says, like, he puts things in the worst possible way to say them, like, especially he knows me because like I can dish it out, so he knows that he can say stuff like that to me.
yeah,
And yeah, Jeff is Jeff, but I think it's like the points he brings up, they aren't like, they have some value to it, but I don't really take Jeff seriously because I know deep down he's mostly just joking. But I think I like, what I like to do personally is like when someone tries to make a joke or give me shit for something, I like to turn it around and explain things and like try to get a wider view of
yeah,
it. And yeah, and I think I would like if I could, I would go to all the American races and look at these guys and say the same things I say now pretty much, and be right, even though I'm now 300 kilometers, 3,000 kilometers away. So
I understand, man. 'Cause I like to do it sometimes too, man. Poke the bear. If I know it's
yeah,
some gets on your under your skin, I might do it just to mess with you. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? So I
yeah,
get it, but yeah, that's all he's doing to you. But yeah, man, y'all need to go on there. Y'all come on here, have a debate, and y'all can,
yeah,
and y'all can, get everything out on the table, so y'all can be best buds again, and be able to hold hands and kiss and stuff. Have that real bro love. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
yeah, man. but but yeah, I just wanted to play that little clip, man, and just let you have your say on what he was saying about you and stuff. So,
yeah.
but
But
yeah,
I always like Keaton. Just always like everything he says is so like. I think if there was a definition of a shit fountain, he is the one. Like it's it's like I don't know how to describe it, but it's always quite funny.
Yeah, bro. It's all good. It's all good. But man, I ain't go this has been great, bro. And
Yeah, it's been fun.
yeah, it's been fun. And like I say, I appreciate you coming out, man, and just coming on the RC Lounge, man, and just kicking it with me and just talking straight up. Like I said, this just a laid back, cool little
Yeah,
you know, cool podcast that I
yeah,
put together. And it just something we need to do this again, you know.
yeah, for
And
sure. I mean, I'm happy to come down. I mean, I've been really busy lately with school, and I've been trying to get the track going, trying to promote it, and
yeah,
all of that stuff. So, but I
but
mean,
yeah, bro.
I like having a bit more laid back podcast with the non
Mhm.
MRC podcast. You always know there's a lot of listeners. We try to get through a lot of things, but here just we're just talking.
Yeah, we're just talking general here, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, anything you want to get out? Anything you got coming up?
Um, well, I mean, if people haven't, it's funny. Every day, someone asks me a question, and then I link them my YouTube account, and they're like, "Wow, I
Yeah.
didn't never heard about that." But um, definitely, if you haven't, go check out my YouTube. I have a 15-part series of about everything in RC.
Mhm.
Um, a video series. It's under my name, Max Mort RC, and yeah, like a lot of things you need to know about setup. I explain it, and I put quite a lot of time into that. That was when I was, in the winter working, and then on my free
Yeah.
time
So,
I did some of those videos. But definitely go check it out, and if you haven't, go like my Facebook page, and yeah, that's about it for now. Mostly, I try to do more on social media, but I
yeah.
try to do as much as I can. And right now, as I said, I'm head of the Finnish, well, the eight scale side of the Finnish Federation. I'm the head of that. So a lot of things we're trying to do, trying to get eight scale televised next summer. Hope we
Okay.
can get that achieved.
That's what's up.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
but a lot of things in the plan. I'm gonna organize my own series too on top of that national series. So yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of things I need to do, and then I have to go to work because I'm a poor student, so I need to get some money.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, man, like I said, man, I appreciate everything. The RC family, y'all got any questions or anything right quick? We can take a few questions right quick. Um, but we ain't gonna hold Max long though. But let's see anybody pop anything up. But yeah, man, in the meantime, but yeah, bro, like I said earlier, man, just prioritize your time right. Go and do your school stuff first and
Mhm.
then jump on your stuff that
Yeah,
you really, really love to do. And
yeah,
yeah, and still you still need you have your fun, go out, go to the club, you know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Cut a little rug, you know what I'm saying? Do all
yeah,
that, yeah. But but main thing, just go ahead on and get the main thing first out of the way. That's your schoolwork, and then that's
yeah,
just
yeah.
that's
It's
just how I
yeah,
got through it. You know what I'm saying? This is how I got through college and
yeah,
stuff like that. So yeah, bro. But yeah,
yeah. Someone asked about motocross. I haven't
yeah,
ridden motocross like I think I
yeah.
was 13 the last time I went to drive. Since then I haven't. I've been like playing with the idea of getting a bike, but just haven't like I don't have the money and would need to get a car. I mean, I don't have a car. All I do is public transport. Luckily, in Finland, it's pretty good. But
Yeah.
a lot,
And
a lot of those things I need to get sorted first.
yeah, Kevin Mendez had a question about the Miyako, about the shocks and stuff we talked about a little bit earlier. Yeah,
Yeah. So what I do is I just flip the inset so that the shock is closer to the standoff.
mm-hmm,
That has been enough for me. Uh, it could be better for sure,
yeah,
but for now, that has been enough.
yeah. That's what I did on mine. Just one of mine,
Hmm.
my real right shock. That's the one that was kind of sticking, and I flipped
Yeah.
the standoff thing,
Yeah,
the
we
bushing,
are working.
just
We're
put it up.
working
Yeah,
on some solutions to get rid of the slop altogether, but it'll take some time to perfect a design that could really be put into production. But yeah,
yeah. But yeah, brother. Hey, man. I totally appreciate it. Buggers and Truckers, what's up, man? Y'all, hey, my RC family, thank y'all for logging in and joining in, man. Like I said, this has been another awesome episode of the RC Lounge podcast. And like I said, I appreciate Max. You know, it's like a 7-hour time difference between me and him, and we got it hooked up, and we had a good podcast. So, Max, anything else you got? Any more shout outs to your sponsors or anything like that?
Um, I keep my sponsorship list quite short. I have a few announcements, but not yet publishable.
Okay.
But yeah, I like to keep a shout out to Keenan. He's been my good friend for a long time now, and yeah, we'll
Yep.
be on a podcast with him.
Yeah. 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 Kevin Mendez was talking about
Yeah,
the disc brakes.
I've been using the stock brakes. They're okay. You have to change the the um, the pads a bit
Yeah.
more often, but yeah, the stock plates are okay. They're a bit like the biggest issue I have with them is they're really heavy, but apart from that, I think the stock brakes are quite okay.
Yeah. Only thing I did was because the problem what I was having with them, it was too much gap between the brake disc
Yeah.
and the caliper itself. So what I did was this may help Kevin if he having this issue. I kind of took out those little tubes that kind of spaced them. You know, the little tubes. I removed those and just um, tighten the regular screw on down in the brake housing, in the brake, in the case itself, and just close that gap closer to the disc itself. And once I did that, everything start working pretty good after that. So, because sometimes, like I said, mine just had a little bit too far of a gap for the brakes to engage on the disc itself. So I took those little tubes out. But yeah, um, anything else, y'all? Anything else y'all got? If not, man, hey Max, appreciate it, bro, and thank you again, man. And when you got any races you gonna do over here in the US? Anything like that coming? You thinking
Not for
about?
now.
No.
I thought about going to DNC this winter, but it's just like too much, too much stuff going on, and then need to get a little bit more money to afford racing that
Yeah.
far out. Next winter, I try to think of it again, but I mean I have to write my thesis,
Mm-hmm.
so I have to
Let's
see
see.
how that
Before the
goes
break,
on.
play it by ear. I got you. But yeah,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
bro, I appreciate you, man. And also, always, I totally appreciate my RC family, man. And hey, we out, man. Peace. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate it, Max. Yes,
Yep.
sir. Hey, y'all. Y'all have a great day. I might get back on later on this evening and do some stuff. So y'all stay tuned for that. I might go live later on tonight. Why y'all can see I made a new background for the lounge. Hold on, let me let y'all see it. Hold on. Cause it's just a new little hold on, I'm gonna take myself off. on a better basis and just to have some fun with y'all, you know. So we're just trying to do some things different, a little better here in 2023. So that's it. Again, y'all, appreciate y'all jumping in on this interview, taking time out of y'all day. Y'all couldn't have been anywhere else in the world, but y'all came in and kicked it with EKJ 24,000. I appreciate that. And hey, if you ain't ripping, you tripping. Actions speak louder than words. Let them haters be your motivators. All right, y'all. Have a good day. Like I said, tune in later on. We're gonna do it again. I'm gonna have a little background music playing. We just gonna vibe and have another good talk. I may do it later on this evening, so y'all stay tuned for that. All right, later.